Welcome to the Chef of X podcast.
I'm surprised that you're still here in this house.
So am I.
I mean, it must be working out for you.
Yeah, but we'll probably move the end of October.
That's an odd time. Well, it's an odd time because I'm thinking about things in terms of a school year. But I guess you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't have to.
It's just month by month? Or
did you
come in October?
We came here in last November.
Yeah, so end of October, beginning of November.
Yeah.
Wow. How was that year? I mean, it's not a year yet, but how's your time been here versus other places in SF?
I was thinking it's funny because last time we talked, this was pre-COVID.
It was, yeah. Yeah, so what's happened? Yeah.
Last time we recorded the podcast.
Yeah. COVID, here's the thing this is beating a dead horse, but since we're on the subject, the most upsetting thing about the COVID has been the miscommunication between the science community, the government, and the public. Because I remember early on, somebody was saying shelter in place means it's the safest for everyone to stay indoors as long as possible.
Right.
And I thought just intuitively, first of all, if everyone's indoors, then if I go outside, no one's going to be outside. Therefore, I will be following the protocol because everyone's more than 6 feet away from me.
Right.
Second of all, it's easier to be 6 feet away from someone outside. But last, my biggest argument was when you're outside, it's like dropping a drop of dye in a glass of water versus the ocean.
Sure.
When you're outside, as far as like fluid dynamics go, if the danger is breathing in particles that someone else breathed out, then being in the ocean is way better than being in the glass of water because everyone gets all the droplets in that glass.
Sure.
But in the ocean, it's so large that it's basically infinite.
Yeah.
So I thought this is pretty crazy that they're telling people that being outside is more dangerous than being inside. And
it's
then, of course,
really weird, because I think actually how COVID spreads is indoors.
Yeah. Overwhelmingly, yes. So now we know. But the fact that there's these, that it became a political thing and that there was miscommunication from the government and that the scientific community could not correct for some of the miscommunications in real time, even though we have the internet, that's really the thing I think about when I think of the COVID. It's like, man, we really fucked up. I think people are already skeptical of experts, especially in science. If you don't have a background in it, it seems like witchcraft. But things like this really make it worse.
Yeah.
Because it ultimately is a pure biology problem.
Yeah.
It's not a political problem directly.
Right, but we've made it into like a...
You can make anything into a political problem.
Yeah, that's so true.
You can make a shoe size into a political problem.
Yeah, for sure.
Wasn't it at some point people were saying Trump had tiny hands, and that was a political point?
Yeah, totally.
You can make anything into a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, how's the quarantine been for you?
Quarantine's been... Actually, I feel like I've been very creative during this quarantine time.
Yeah.
Like, I've started writing a lot and getting my ideas out.
Okay.
Actually, yes, on Friday, I released my 10-year plan.
Last Friday?
This past Friday.
Wow.
And that's, like, a huge moment for me. Because, like, I've been writing it since March.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm not going to put it out yet, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, you just kind of make excuses, and you're like, it's not done yet.
Yeah.
And someone was like, yeah, you should just release it. Or just get it out there. And it's like, if no one reads it, no one cares. So what's the, you may as well release it because no one cares.
And just for, someone who's not familiar, the 10-year plan, what is it about, and how do you publish something like that? Where would you even be releasing it?
Yeah, the 10-year plan is a comprehensive plan to build infrastructure and change the regulations that make it hard to build infrastructure.
In San Francisco specifically?
It's a lot of it is based around like the problems in SF, but it's not specific. It's more about building infrastructure in the U.S.
And is there an emphasis on transportation?
Yes.
Because I know
there's a huge emphasis, especially on rail.
Yeah, rail, and then also you've mentioned things about lower income housing or just cheaper housing.
Yeah, like affordable housing.
Affordable housing.
How do we make it more affordable? Obviously, this paper only scratches the surface.
Yeah.
And so, and it talks a lot about like social dynamics as well, like NIMBYs and how to.
What's NIMBY?
NIMBY is not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, exactly.
It's understandable attitude, by the way. I mean, it's human nature to not want bad shit or stuff you don't like happening close to you.
Yeah,
but
I understand it.
But the macro effect
is huge.
Huge, yeah.
It is huge. And when you kind of consider the broader context, it hurts people and more than you would think.
Yeah. So how do you publish a plan like that?
Yeah, so I wrote it in Notion, and I think I've told you about Notion. It's like a really easy note-taking software. So I literally just wrote it in the document, and then you can just share a link.
Mm. And who is in the intended audience?
This audience is intended to be everyone. It's meant to break down the barriers in a way that everyone can understand.
Yeah. Yeah. That is interesting because, on one hand, not everyone has the background to even be aware of what the issues are.
Yeah, exactly.
But on the other hand, there's got to be some kind of connecting fiber so that people can learn it.
Right.
Just to learn the basics.
Yeah,
to know,
exactly.
like, hey, these are the problems, and then here's what needs to be done, and then how to get it done. Maybe only the lawyers know, or only the contractors know.
Yeah.
But, like, people should be basically aware of
what
things
needs
like
to
infrastructure
happen.
and housing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that affects everyone.
Yeah, it affects everyone.
Yeah. So now that it's published,
what do I do?
First of all, before that, sometimes a lot of people have trouble finding the end point. Because you can always make something more precise. You can always improve it. Mm-hmm. So how do you know when it's done? How do you know when it's like, this is good enough? You know? At what point do you feel like, okay, I can put it out now? It has everything it needs.
I basically took a lot of things out, and I think that really helped it get to the finish line, or at least the starting point. I think of it as the starting point.
Yeah.
The beginnings of what could be like a influential paper.
Yeah. I agree with that. Because really good paper, sometimes what you have to do is build the foundation.
Right.
And then once that's solidified, then you can build on top of it.
Yeah, I think of this as a foundation to build on top of. And everything that I'll work on in the future, or everything of my own that I'll work on in the future, will be connected to the 2030 vision.
Yeah. For the next 10 years at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
You kind of locked yourself into that one.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be locked in because a lot of people are, especially now with COVID has turned everything upside down and people don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've actually released this plan. It's meant to be a blueprint for the future.
COVID might have helped.
I think it helped.
As far as opening people's mind to the possibility of living radically different.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if everything's going smoothly the way things are, then why change anything?
what is normal as okay, and I think normal is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
especially in California.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I haven't had the true COVID experience because I am working in a central job, which is in the energy
You're an
industries.
essential.
Yeah, so
worker.
for me, I mean, almost nothing has changed work-wise except, like, I was already going in at midnight, and I was by myself from midnight to 8 a.m. pretty much every weekend for the last year.
Yeah.
So social distancing, there's nobody in the building.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The only thing that changed is I hit my hands with some, Lysol or whatever, hand sanitizer before I leave and when I get in the room and when I'm doing the little exchange. Because so what the job is we control power plants. And we each have like 8-hour shifts. Right. So each time you hand it off to the next person, like there might be a plant running or there might be a plant that's about to start or about to shut down. So you just basically give them a rundown of everything that happened on your shift. Yeah. And anything important, like, hey, watch the water meter because it's been acting finicky. You know, make sure the ammonia doesn't leak on this one. It's been weird lately. So we have a little 5-minute chat. And the only thing that's changed COVID-wise is now we do that, but we're wearing masks. Right.
How is like power changed during COVID?
You know what really changed it?
Yeah,
the heat wave and the fires. That's changed it more than anything else.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when there was a heat wave, the plants were running 24/7.
Full power, right?
Full power the whole time. I mean, it was insane. Wow. And now since the fires, none of them are running, which makes it easier for us.
Shit.
We just go in there. You know, the food got better. There's food at my job. Nice. It improved for some reason during the COVID. They started caring more about well, normally they would shop for the whole building. Right. Now they're just shopping for the people who worked the job that I work, the operations people. Because
interesting.
We're the only ones who can't work remotely.
Right.
Which is ironic because it is remote. But, like, we go to a Sacramento office to operate plants in Fresno and San Diego, and so it is remote, but it's not from home. It's from the office. Yeah. Whereas like the engineers who do the control systems for these softwares and stuff like that, they could just work from home.
Really?
So all the food in the fridge is now just for us, and now for some reason it's just better.
Sure.
The quality has gone up.
That's awesome.
Just because we're working during the COVID, I don't know. Hopefully it stays this way.
Yeah, I hope so too.
But for me, and also I've been riding a motorcycle. It's in the shop right now. But I've been riding a motorcycle, so it's super cheap. It's always been super cheap for me to travel. Sure. So that didn't change during the COVID.
Yeah, totally.
And then, but... Yeah, my quality of life definitely went up because I started making music aggressively during the COVID. Whereas before I was writing the math paper, and that was a very solitary thing, and I pretty much did finish that in like March. Mm-hmm. But after that, it's just been all music, and music is extremely social, and it's like, it's cool to have an end product that's like it's pleasing and to listen to, and it doesn't take any effort to listen to music. Whereas reading a paper, you kind of have to focus and pay attention. Right. Music, you can kind of program it so that everything is subtle and everything just fits. Yeah. And it's effortless to consume.
For sure.
So, yeah, being able to work has been really nice. Being able to travel, at least on my motorcycle. I went camping too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
With that same hip-hop group.
Yeah, so I have my, new ambitious project.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's not finishing up the 10-year plan?
No, the 10-year plan was, the base of it.
Okay.
It was, the foundation.
Yeah.
I want to build a private metro system.
Okay. Metro system. Private. Private as in... only some people...
Privately owned.
Privately owned. Okay, so from the perspective of the person writing...
Not only a select few can ride it. No, I don't mean that at all. I mean that
that seems to be the opposite of your 10-year plan.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's privately owned.
Huh. So, yeah, if I'm paying to get on the train, I wouldn't notice.
No, you wouldn't notice.
Owned it. I would just have a fee that I pay.
It's like a simple, small fee that you pay to get on board, and you're on.
Do you think for large-scale projects it's better to have them private or public?
I think there can be a good mix. So,
what's the benefit of the public side? Because I only really see the benefit of the private side as an outsider looking in.
Well, I mean,
which is efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, private system can be more efficient.
They want to make the best thing. They don't want to be slow or luggy or sloppy.
They don't want to deal
with
bureaucracy or anything like that. That's part of the benefit. What is the benefit of the public side? I mean, well, you need right-of-ways and all that kind of stuff. And you need to change regulation to make it happen. So, obviously, there will be some, public involvement in this project.
So it might be smoother to get through the public involvement sides if you're public from the jump, or if you have a public interest from the jump, or a public piece in the pie or whatever. Jar.
Yeah, I feel like they'll definitely want some piece of it.
Yeah.
And so a good example of how does this work in the real world is Hong Kong's MTR, which is a private company but publicly owned sort of.
Yeah. Huh.
Or the government is the majority stakeholder, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's very interesting how the majority stakeholder thing works. So is it 51% and now you get to make the most decisions or something, you own it?
I mean, how it would work here.
Yeah.
We're still figuring, it's still a very early stages of this idea. But, so there's a lot of kinks to work out.
I wonder if it's possible to officially own a podcast or own music in that same way. I own 51% of the masters. I own 51% for whatever the rights are for podcasts.
There are recording companies,
rights.
Right?
There are recording companies, so they probably have that structure figured out.
Sure. Yeah, but this, it actually has been done before in the U.S. Back in the 1900s. So it's been a while, and it actually does exist today, called Brightline in South Florida, is a private railroad.
Really?
Yeah. That owns the track, and
Is it good? Is it any good?
It'll get you there. It'll get you from West Palm Beach to Miami in an hour or two. It's not high-speed rail, but it's a commuter rail.
Yeah. Why doesn't everyone build high-speed rails?
It's a great question. Well, I mean, it's bureaucratic red tape. That's why. There are a lot of projects that already are in development phase, or in the bureaucratic red tape phase, and that's the main holder.
Yeah, it seems like what we should be doing is if any human anywhere, if any group of people creates a better system for doing something, everyone should just adopt that.
Yeah, for sure. And so we want to pioneer this model of private railroads as similar to how they used to be.
Yeah.
And they can be very profitable too. Hong Kong's MTR is was recognized as the best railway in the world.
Really?
Yeah, it makes it has a fare box recovery ratio of 160 something %.
What is that?
Which means how much they recover from fares. So can they make a profit off of fares? And the answer is yes, even while being very cheap.
Wow. And do they have a culture of cars, of driving at all?
In Hong Kong?
Yeah.
A tiny bit, but it's like, I mean, Hong Kong is so dense that it's like, it's not very practical to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that might be the biggest barrier in the U.S. is that having a car is such a sexy thing. It's considered such a fucking...
Yeah, sure.
It's a part of being an adult,
At
emotionally.
least how we consider it. I mean,
in some places that's not the case.
Yeah,
but
so
it's here, and I think California is one of those places where it is the case.
Sure. And so I grew up in New York, so it was very different.
Yeah.
For me, like, being on the subway alone was like freedom.
Yeah. Well.
And it's not practical to drive a car in New York, so...
Yeah. But New York got hit with the COVID.
Yeah, I know.
So maybe that's an argument against trains that people...
Sure, I mean, I know a lot of people have used that.
As if there's a contagion, a train is more effective vector than a bunch of people in a car.
Yeah, but think about it like post-COVID, right? What are we going to do after COVID? That's what I'm trying to think about.
That's true.
And that's like what my 10-year plan is focused on.
Yeah.
What about after COVID? What do we do after this whole like pandemic is over?
Well, one thing that's very interesting about that is that pandemics are guaranteed. It's just a matter of when, and
Sure.
The one that you have might not even be all that bad compared to the possibilities that are out there. But
Sure.
a lot of people are like, this really isn't the one we should be freaking out about. As far as how bad things could really get, there's certain properties of the virus that aren't really all that bad.
Yeah, totally.
Or at least not as bad as it could be. Unless it's the worst one.
Well,
I hope
it's not like the Black Plague
No,
that
it's not the Black
swept
Plague.
across Europe.
This one doesn't even seem to affect kids that much.
Yeah, I hope not.
So, it's not the fucking Black Plague. We know that. And we also know being outside isn't, the worst idea. It's actually good for your health. And being healthy is one of the best things that you can do.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, obviously, it's been a creative period for me as well. But I've been thinking, so I feel like this week I'm finishing up, like this week to come, I'm finishing up a lot of hip-hop stuff because the house that I've been staying at where we've been making music, they're leaving on the 30th.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're basically like, hey, re-record everything you're going to re-record, like get all your stuff figured out that where you need to physically be present because after this, it's probably going to be mixing and mastering from this point out and then just putting it on Spotify.
Sure.
Whatever we already have.
Yeah, I'm excited to put it on my Spotify playlist.
Yeah. Well, what you should put on your playlist is my solo album, which is not Weak Sheep is kind of like a 10-minute thing, but my solo album's like 30 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And that's
it.
Everything I've learned in the group, I'm reapplying to the solo album, including the mixing and mastering techniques.
Yeah, that
so it was already
sick.
done. It was done for the most part. I added one new song, quote unquote song.
Yeah.
It was done like back in March. But now that I've been doing so much music shit, I'm like, oh wait, there's actually a lot I can still add to this.
Sure.
So I've been just piecing it together kind of after the fact.
Right.
Some of it's
right.
Anyhow, what I wanted to say is I'm also starting a new project.
Oh yeah? What is your project?
And this one is writing. I want to just write philosophy. I just want to write ideas.
Sick.
I love ideas, and I want to write them out in a comprehensible form. I've been doing it in so many forms that are like, sometimes poetry is confusing.
Sure.
Definitely all the time math is confusing, even though it's precise and better and great.
Yeah.
And wonderful. It's confusing to most people. So I want to just write basic philosophy stuff, maybe in a poetic way some of the time. But I just want to write out clean ideas. And if I can do that, to finish off this year, I think I can come up. I think the chops that I have been building up in other disciplines will translate into writing.
Right.
I feel like I'm at a creative height.
Yeah, that's
so
sick.
if I tried it now, I think it would be a better product than if I would have tried it in the past. So I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah, for sure.
But I only have a couple of ideas, and the main three, if I can remember all, I'll just name the ones I remember. One of them is thoughts on communication.
Yeah.
Another one is thoughts on cultures. Specifically, what are they? So I think, and that one might be a little bit mathy, but I can do it without getting into anything crazy. But
sure.
I have a hunch that it's possible for individuals to have culture in a coherent way, in a way that's not a word game, in a way that's actually meaningful and tangible.
Yeah.
But I haven't worked it out, so that's something that I would consider a philosophical thing that I want to write, because it's about the nature of something.
Sure.
It's about thinking about the nature of something as deeply as I can, and then trying to express that.
Right.
There was one more, but I can't remember.
That's really
I think it was sex related. I think it was communication, culture, and something sex related.
Oh, gotcha.
But if I could write something coherent, I don't care how long it is. I don't care, maybe a couple math references just for the fuck of it, But I think that would be the next satisfying thing for me to do, as well as become a student again in community college.
Yeah, for sure.
And all those come from the same state of mind. Instead of the wild state of mind, they come from the more focused state of mind, which I call the Chef of X state of mind. That's what I was trying to say in that clip in Weak Sheep.
Yeah.
Versus the Red Chef is more of the creative but chaotic. The Chef of X is creative but methodical and conservative.
Sure.
And I feel like every time I accomplish something in one mindset, I want to immediately switch over to the other. And I feel like a lot of this hip-hop stuff is really, really heavy Red Chef type of satisfaction.
Right.
But I also crave now just really clean ideas.
Yeah.
Working on something. And I would consider your 10-year plan more in the Chef of X range, where it's
I feel like you would enjoy it a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you've already sent me a link up before, but you should send me another one.
But yeah, I'll send it again.
Yeah, there's something pleasing about having a clean breakdown of something that's difficult, and then it's suddenly not difficult anymore.
Yeah, and I'll put this out to the world because I'm looking for people to help with this. I'd love a graphic designer who can sketch out these complicated, hard to understand concepts.
Yeah.
Because if I have someone who can design and architect a rendering of the private metro system as well.
Yeah.
That would be insane. This would explode. I think it would get a lot of interest.
Yeah, that's something I spend a lot of time thinking about is when you have ideas, how do you get to the first prototype?
Yeah.
And there was a Steve Jobsy quote, which is he plays the orchestra.
Right.
And certain people play instruments, but I think you have to learn the skill of playing the orchestra in order to get talented people to want to work with you,
Right.
But I think for certain types of ambitious tasks, that's the only way you can get a prototype. Unfortunately, is if you have some of the best people, if you have some skilled people working with you. Whereas for a hip-hop idea, you can make a prototype by writing it. You don't need any help.
Yeah,
exactly. The prototype's done as soon as you write it out. But the bigger and more complex the idea is, the more you need the prototype.
You need real people to help you.
Yeah. It's meaty just to get the prototype. Not even the real thing. Just to get the first rendering takes a real team of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I've what was I thinking of saying? Yeah, that's why it's you can't do this on your own.
No.
Do
you use recruitment tools to recruit people with specific skills? I think Fiverr is one of them or something. TaskRabbit.
I could do that, huh?
But you'd have to have the moolah.
Yeah, and I'd have to pay them too. I mean, I've been using Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, Twitter's pretty effective at finding, like, people that could work on this. Like, putting out my 10-year plan is kind of like a first to, like, get people interested and, like, yeah, and I bought a domain as well, so I have, like, a website up.
Okay. How do you build it? From scratch or you use Squarespace?
I built it from scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have used, like, Squarespace, but I know how to build it myself.
Yeah. That's good.
And I have an email as well, so... Here, I'll read the website motto. Well, I already know it. It's building infrastructure to enable humans to thrive.
Yeah. Building infrastructure.
And so it's called, the company is called Promontory Industries, named after Promontory Point, where the transcontinental railroads met.
Promontory Point?
Yeah.
Huh. Where was that? What state?
That was in Utah.
Utah, huh? Okay. Historical.
Yeah, it means a lot in the world of transportation and infrastructure. It was a huge achievement.
Wow. Well, there's SketchUp.
Yeah, I know. I guess I'll just learn how to use SketchUp or Blender or something.
Blender. Yeah, I mean, well, that might be a way to do it.
Exactly.
Maybe you recruit the good CAD person by showing them bad CAD. And saying, basically this, and they're like, I could do better.
Yeah, exactly, huh? Yeah, I think that's a great way of doing it. I mean, I found like a tutorial on how to build like a train 3D model.
Okay.
So maybe I'll just follow through with that and like, but it's just hard to like be creative with it if you're just getting started.
It is.
With
You
it,
have to learn all the
and
basics.
It's like, yeah, and I mean, I have like other images that are like different renderings from different agencies, but it's not the same as like your own.
Why not start a startup?
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that
that's
seems
what I'm
to be
in
the
the
only
process
way.
of doing. Yeah.
Because I think people might
and
be
I have
willing
like a
to...
pitch deck too, so
okay.
I've like shown it to people, and people are like, "Where's the first prototype?" I'm like, "Well, the prototype is the renderings and the regulation, the new regulation. That's what I consider the prototype."
Yeah.
Because how the fuck are you supposed to like prototype a train?
Yeah.
Like, what, are you gonna dig a hole in the ground and like? It's just not possible. It's not legal.
You could go the Photoshop route too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, I could do like a Photoshop.
Yeah, just the pictures.
Yeah, and that's what I want to do. So I've been in touch with an architect and trying to convince him to work on my projects. So, yeah.
Give him some percentage of the company. Be a co-founder.
Yeah, exactly.
With you.
Yeah. Something like that.
I think that's the incentive that you can give, is not so much the money, but that
right,
it has the potential to grow and you can be a part of it.
But I'm not totally broke, but you know, it's like SF is expensive, and it's like
these crepes cost money.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's one of the things that drives me toward the arts, is that it really, in a lot of the arts, you really can do a lot of it yourself.
Yeah, I feel like this is somewhat of an art.
It is
It's just like a really hard fucking art.
It involves a lot of engineering.
Yeah, exactly.
To get it done. I mean, they got to engineer the paintbrush first before you can paint with it.
Right.
It turns out it's very capital intensive, labor intensive to make that fucking paintbrush.
Totally. Yeah, I think this can really solve a lot of like modern problems.
Yeah.
This railway. It's like more of like a catalyst to solve big problems.
What do you think of planes the way they are now?
Planes?
Yeah. How would you improve them?
Well, there are people working on like supersonic planes and
faster.
Yeah.
What about more people per plane? Because what's
You
the upper
need bigger
limit?
runways. That's kind of the big problem.
Runways, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the limiting factor. But if they could vertically lift off, oh man.
I was actually I wasn't thinking of that, but I was thinking of like, what if you like stacked multiple landing strips on top of each other, so it's like a skyscraper
of landing strips
of a runway
of runways. So if you land, you might not be landing on the ground.
You might. Well, yeah, there's definitely the problem of crashing into the.
I'm gonna jump to the restroom real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do the same. Break.
Wait. Hold on, let me listen to you, Sean. Wait.
Real chef shit.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yes. Landing strips.
Yeah, so I believe like the future is vertical.
Right, because we were talking about railways, so I said, okay, what do you think about a different transportation thing?
Planes.
Yeah.
You're talking about planes.
I mean, we already have pretty intense quadcopters and hexacopters or whatever it's called. You know, multiple things. I mean, that seems like it could be a threat. I think I've heard of some companies like Uber using those to transport people.
Well, yeah, they're trying to build like...
Or trying to.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the same as planes, right?
Yeah, I mean...
It's a completely different height, different amounts of mass you're moving.
Right.
Might not scale up that way.
Sure. Yeah, so I believe the future is vertical.
Yeah.
That for the past, 50 years, we've sprawled outwards, instead of upwards.
There's so much space upward.
Yeah, exactly.
And to be fair, we have gone upward in corporate buildings and
and office buildings
and
concentrated downtown districts.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Some people are uncomfortable with that, though.
With skyscrapers?
Yeah, for living. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think is uncomfortable?
I think it's good. I think it's good to be in those skyscrapers.
Yeah, I mean, I think so my ideas are every building would have reflective mirrors at the top of the buildings to bring in natural light.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be a good idea. As long as there's nothing, bird droppings or whatever.
Sure, yeah,
Nobody throws a rock from up there.
Yeah, totally.
What about natural lighting on the trains?
Yeah, I mean, the stations could have natural light because the buildings around will be connected to the train stations.
Yeah. Above ground or below ground? For the train.
Yeah, it really depends on location. So, on Geary Boulevard is where I want to propose the first place. It would probably go below ground.
The first station.
Yeah, the first railway.
Yeah, because when you're building a railway, it can't... I guess you kind of have to build the whole way, right? Or you have to have a section where people could travel from one place to another. If you just built one station and then another station.
Yeah, you had to build like a full rail line for it to be useful.
Kind of at one, kind of at once, and then maybe extend it. Either way.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, Geary Boulevard's had like a history. We had like private streetcar networks running along Geary. And then it was part of the original BART plans to have a rail line along Geary Boulevard. So in SF. So it's like had some historical context, but and they're supposedly constructing a BRT line, but it's kind of been stalled because of like legal delays and bureaucratic delays, all this kind of stuff. And so our vision is to actually change the bureaucratic laws to make it a lot easier to build.
The laws really are a part of your prototype, it seems.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you can't get those laws changed, there is no
railway.
Yeah.
At least not a cheap, fast, and affordable railway.
How do you change the law?
Well, I think you start with the neighborhood groups and merchant groups, and you get them on board first before going to the government for approvals. And you definitely have to deal with a lot of different agencies and levels of government.
That might be the better person to have on your team, is the person who knows how to navigate.
Yeah, so I want a policy expert.
Okay.
So I've talked to one, and he seemed interested, but we haven't... I just had to call him.
Yeah. Changing the law. What is the law that you have to change?
Yeah, so there are a lot of laws that had to change.
Less red tape. The law that says, we need red tape, erase that one.
Yeah. So...
All right, good.
So,
Let's move forward.
So every project in California has to go under an environmental review.
Okay.
And this sounds great, right? It's like, it'll keep them, hopefully it'll...
accountable to the environment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's actually just put up more red tape for projects that are environmentally friendly, like nuclear power, and like railways or bus rapid transit. And in addition, it kind of... some of the factors that are in environmental study include wind loads or birds or noise factors, things that maybe aren't really about the environment.
Yeah. How let's say that they're the government agency. Their job is to determine whether or not the project is environmentally compliant. I don't know.
Sure.
If they don't do the full scan,
yeah,
then how do they know that it is environmentally compliant?
Yeah, so one of the parts of
is there some other system that would be better than the one they're using that could tell them the same information?
Well, it's not like we want to get rid of the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's that we want to simplify it.
Okay.
So part of the project includes nuclear power, which is pretty much the most reliable, carbon-free power option in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that will definitely help the environment by providing reliable power to the entire system.
Yeah.
Including the housing. And it takes cars off the road, so the less people are driving, the less obviously it's
How does it take cars off the road?
Well...
Oh, the train takes cars off.
The train takes cars off the road. Yeah. The train takes... So when you consider all these...
I got you.
When you consider all of these projects together in review, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When you try to
mean.
break them up into different pieces and consider them on their own, it's not going to make any sense.
I see what you mean.
Right?
The total environmental impact isn't actually being measured.
Yeah,
Instead,
exactly.
It's checking boxes. And if one of those boxes fails, they don't consider the fact that you've actually overcompensated in another area.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
The project by nature is helping the environment.
Yeah, for example, the California high-speed rail, every section of it has to go under environmental review. Not
Rather
the
than
entire
whole
project, right?
Yeah.
You would think they do one for the entire project. False. They do them per sections.
Yeah.
That's why it's a lot easier to build in Central Valley because there are no environmental impacts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is the type of thing that I mean when I say sheep. That it's actually not well thought out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually just
I
not
think
well
it had
thought
it had good intentions.
Yeah.
When it started off in the 70s. So there are other legal hurdles we want to change, like zoning. So what is zoning? Zoning is what determines where something goes. So it determines what is built.
Yeah.
And who can live there.
Yeah. Wow.
What else?
So you want to completely abolish zoning?
No. No,
Change
we want to
it?
we want to redefine it.
Yeah.
We want to have, because you don't want shacks, people living in or in Hong Kong they live in cages. You don't want people living in cages, right?
Right.
So we want a bare minimum zoning that defines, but zoning today is very restrictive in that it's most zoning is one house per acre or per lot. Maybe not per acre, but per space. And so we want to reduce the amount of space that's needed to minimum lot size is what it's called. And then we want to increase height limits. And then get rid of parking requirements.
What do you mean, the parking requirements?
Yeah, so zoning requires you have minimum amount of parking spaces in a building, which is why you go to Sacramento or something and you see these buildings with this giant parking lot, right? So that's not a natural thing, right?
Right.
It's not just we just wanted to build so much parking that it just happened. But it's actually a function of government laws and regulations.
Yeah. Huh. What would be the alternative to that, though?
Yeah, it's a fast,
because you can't really, I feel like you can't expand parking lots once they're integrated into the city,
Sure. Well, that's why we have a subway.
Yeah.
That's why the private railway, you don't need to drive.
Yeah.
If there's a cheap and efficient option.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. They consider whether or not you're disturbing the birds, but you can't consider whether or not the project as a whole will impact the environment in a positive way.
Yeah, it has to be.
And what's even worse is it seems like there's no unit of measurement for that. So you can't even have a sense of magnitude.
Yeah, what do you mean?
What I mean is if you take 10 cars off the road versus if you take 10 million cars off the road, it seems like the current system wouldn't even be able to acknowledge that you had a greater impact by taking 10 million cars off the road.
Yeah, it can't really
They can't calculate that.
fathom it.
All they can fathom is you disturb those birds.
Right.
We know you've done this, so...
Yeah, or it's like, this housing is going to add more traffic.
Yeah.
Right? That's like the common saying.
It's certainly going to add more traffic if all these other things stay steady state.
Right, exactly.
But if it's kind of like an ecosystem and a lot of things
change,
then it might not.
We want to create like an ecosystem.
Well, the cities are already ecosystems.
They are, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was talking to...
I think they can be a better ecosystem, though.
It would be. I was talking to this architecture student, and she was saying...
oh, really?
Yeah, she was saying the less roads you have in the city, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Can you introduce me to her?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. She's moving out this week, though, so it's got to be soon.
Okay. Well, yeah. Does she want to work on a metro system?
Hey, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, seriously. Please do reach out to her.
All right.
For me, because that would be amazing.
All right. Yeah, she is.
Because you know, like, college students and...
Yes, I do. That's true. I know.
And those people are, like, perfect to work on this project.
Yeah, you should visit the colleges.
I should.
A local school.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. And just, I don't know how you would do it, though.
I don't have a car.
That's how you can do it.
Huh?
As a startup guy, that's how you do it. You just organize it with the architecture.
And you pitch.
Yeah, with their society. Architecture Society Club of
Oh, really?
Happiness.
There's a club?
There's probably a club.
Okay.
You got to get into your Steve Jobs bag, man.
Yeah, I know.
To play the orchestra. Yeah, there's a club. There's always a club. There's always a group.
Is Davis all online now?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they are offering some stuff in person.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But for the most part, they're online.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. This is going to be the craziest, like, freshman class.
I know. I've been thinking a lot about, like, that kind of sucks
or at least
because...
Crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But most repressed, so probably most crazy.
Yeah,
no
I mean...
parties.
No parties, right?
So there's probably just going to be
what are you
drinking in the dorm.
supposed to do as, like, especially, like, a high school or college student right now?
Yeah.
Like, that sucks ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be real. There are parties.
Oh, yeah. There'll be parties whether or not, like, they're allowed.
Exactly. And the thing is, the few that are going to happen are going to be outrageous.
Outrageous.
Because it's like all or nothing.
Man, that's hilarious.
That's just, regardless of how they zone it out, that's human nature.
For sure. Yeah, I can only imagine what those parties would be like. Yeah, they would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, why not? I was thinking of doing some podcasts, getting like a gazebo or something. Not a gazebo, like one of those canopy things.
Mm-hmm.
And doing them outdoors.
Yeah.
I don't know how that'll work out with the quarantine. It might be better. But like to just be out there more,
Yeah.
In addition to trying to do other people's. To just do mine in a way that's more inclusive to people who don't know me.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Maybe that'll be where the freshmen can go.
Gotcha.
They can come to my podcast.
Yeah. How do you feel about Zoom University?
Zoom? Me? Oh, I mean, I always figured that I would like online classes, but I like them. I don't mind. You know what? For me, the worst thing about online classes is Zoom. Is when they want you to I want to see your face every day.
Right.
To me, that's the worst part of it. I'd rather just
turn off the
lecture.
camera.
I'll listen to it twice the speed, and then just do the homework.
Sure.
I don't want to look at anybody. I don't want to, I'm
That's
good.
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people are gonna miss out on the quote unquote college experience.
Nah, they're not gonna miss out.
What do you think?
I don't think they're gonna miss out at all. I think they'll figure everything out on their own.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you hear that 20% of Harvard's class deferred?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah, I mean, why go?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point?
What's the point if it's all online? But at the same time, it's like, where can you actually go?
Where can you go? I mean, community college is the spot now.
Meaning, you can't travel or anything.
You can still go camping. You can
travel within the U.S. But you can't go I'm going to Europe or blah, blah, blah.
They won't let you in. You're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good move for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think people will figure out something. People have little outdoor powwows in Davis. Lots of people at the parks. Lots of people go on walks.
Oh, nice. Nice.
You can do some stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I bet.
Okay.
Yeah, did you want to...
Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap things
Wrap up.
With the most important question in the universe.
What is it?
Pentagon or hexagon?
Pentagon.
That's right.
Sweet. Good chatting, man.
Good chat.
Chef set?
Hey, strawberry, blueberry. One berry, two berry. That's a snack, blackberry. Hey, do I really want the stem or the cherry? Bucket naked doing mathematics. Hey, dynamic, I don't mind static. Hey, can't deny it, I might die tonight. Hey, every rainbow's just white light. Keep my toppings on topper. Helicopter, draw the whole lot. Cartographer, think about dots. Philosopher, check the bars with a barometer. Not a day without chefing, that's negligence. Don't trust what I say, check the evidence. It all depends on the mold you were shaped in. What you make from the leaves that you break in. Either you get it or you don't. Either it's burnt bread or it's toast. Either a wavelength or a note. Either a joke or a real quote. Either use it or lose your vote. Strawberry, blueberry. One berry, two berry. That's a snack, blackberry. Hey, do I really want the stem or the cherry? Not the most musical, more Dr. Seussical. All my work's useless, I keep my dick usable. I'm a nuisance, the proof's in the juices. Finish all your trig and your sig, fig Newtons. She smoked that estrogen and progesterone. Threw it in the vape, took it to the dome. Fuck it, I might hit the testosterone. Chef's cut, dopamine with some melatonin. I can't tame it if it's too tame. I can't name it, it's a new name. Left, right when the life came. Every night play the dice game. Draw the line through the right planes. Is it mean if I don't mean it? What's a fucking mean to a deviant? And not to diss you, but you stop chefing. I don't miss you, I have no tissue. Strawberry, blueberry. One berry, two berry. That's a snack, blackberry. Hey, do I really want the stem or the cherry? I keep it one more than 1,000. I see these sheep charged up, keep it rounded. Somebody show these where the pound is. I think the kitchen's getting crowded. Same place, different state. Same shit the chefs love, the sheep hate. My beats in a briefcase. Never cheap with the beefsteak. Nothing free in that sweepstake. I think they're locked into the optics. I'm like the opposite, I'm like their complement. I
I'd rather say a lot with a little. Sold the violin, got a fiddle. If you don't experiment, you don't walk. You wanna talk? Are you really about the chalk? Then please shut the fuck up. Enough is enough. Sheep ass arguments, get your tongue cut. Strawberry, blueberry. One berry, two berry. That's a snack, blackberry. Hey, do I really want the stem or the cherry?